Hello, everyone. So 2 weeks ago, we talked about the handoff that sales almost never makes to service. Last week, we talked about the stranger experience of customers walking into the service drive on their first visit and not knowing anybody because that handoff didn't happen. Today, the customer's back. They've been in the lane before. The advisor hopefully knows who they are. This should be the easy part. And then the tech submits that MPI. And 10 minutes are going to decide everything that happens with that customer. The multi-point inspection, most stores treat it like a checklist, but it's not a checklist. It's more like a referendum. And in that 10 minutes, the customer is going to decide whether you're a partner who tells them the truth about their car or a sales department carrying a wrench. There's no neutral outcome. There's no neutral ground here. Trust either gets built right there or it gets torched right there. And once it's torched, every recommendation for the rest of that customer's life gets read as an upsell. This is From Delivery to Defection, episode 3, Trust Building. And today, our actual guest is a little bit late. So we are talking to a sit-in guest, Kyle Morissette, about that MPI. And more than anything that happens in that service drive, the MPI is such an important part of that. Kyle, I'm going to let you start. I'm going to let Christian down into the bottom, and then we'll pull him back up after you can get an intro in there.
Awesome. Yeah, I think the most important one on a brand new car is that first service, whether it's 5,000, 7,500, 10, whatever the recommendation is from the OEM, because in theory it should always be green, right? But we're going to set that expectation for the rest of that customer's lifespan, working with you. So showing them immediately that we take great pride in looking over your vehicle, and it's going to be, we're telling you everything isn't great. When later on down the road things start turning yellow and red, it's a heck of a lot more believable. So in more cases, I think the green is more important than any other one.
I would completely agree. And Kyle, we're going to do the old guest switcheroo here.
Yeah, buddy.
And I'm going to move you down. I'm going to move Christian up. Christian, welcome to the Fixed.
Hey, Dave, how are you? How you doing? Sorry, I was late.
Hey, that's another call. You're running a store. That's the important thing. That's the reason you're here, is because you're an actual operator.
It does.
Welcome. We're glad to have you here. Only a couple of minutes late. Doesn't matter. You had to finish that call. That's more important than the show. And appreciate you being here today to talk about the multi-point inspection, what that looks like in your world, how you feel about it, and how you're using that to build trust with customers rather than destroy it, which unfortunately a lot of times that's what the MPI does rather than build trust.
It does, and it happens. With the four brands that I have right now, actually, that's one of the topics that we are doing, because we're switching providers for the multiple inspection.
Okay.
We have one that I'm not very convinced on how the multiple inspection works with them. So we're moving with a different provider, which I think is going to give us a better visibility to the customers. I think that with the help of the AI now these days, you have to join the group. You can't be out of it. So we're going to try this new tool, which I think it's great. I think it's going to help us out to build more trust with the customer when you actually show them and do the video walk around with the technicians and point out what's wrong with the car, and I think that's the most transparent you can be with the customer. It's showing exactly their car, showing the video, and actually showing when you're pulling the air filter, for instance, and you can compare the air filter, the new one, with their used one, and they can see it. They believe it more than just a phone call from the service advisor saying, "Hey, you need an air filter."
Yeah, and it's important that what's on that multi-point inspection, on that video multi-point inspection, that it matches what's on the actual printed multi-point inspection that a customer still gets too, right? Like having a technician do their their walk around under the car and pointing stuff out and things, and having that, check the box. I got my 3-minute video in, and then they give a customer a multi-point inspection that has 6 items on it. And the customer's going, well, I didn't see any of that when you did a video, right? That's a disconnect there.
And that's exactly what's been happening with the provider that we have. For some reason, it was an update on their system, and my videos were going out to the customer way before my advisors can take a look at it, and the estimates were going out at the same time as the video. So you had a customer with a part in it, no labor, and they think that's the whole repair, and you have to explain yourself, no, I'm sorry, and apologize. And at that point, customers like, so what is this? Why? And that's the distrust where they comes in.
Yeah.
And going through all these hiccups, we just decided to move in a different direction and find a different provider that is more solid. And hopefully that's going to help us be transparent and with the customers and build that trust that we all want, because that's retention at the end of the day. When they trust you, they just keep coming back. If you lose that trust, they're going to go down the road to a mom and pop shop or to another agency by all means. So it's very important that you keep up with the videos and the multi-point inspection accurate,
Yeah, that's you only get that one chance, right? That's once you send that out and they get that estimate and it shows $100, an advisor calling 10 minutes later and going, hey, sorry, forgot to tell you about this. It's actually $250. That you missed your chance there with that customer.
Or if you show an incomplete estimate, and now you have to correct the estimate, saying, sorry, I forgot to add the labor, or I'm missing the part,
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't, when I always use comparisons of other things in our regular day lives, when you go to the store, say Walmart, to buy a TV, and there's a price on the TV, when you get to the cashier, they don't go, oh, well, yeah, that's just the price of the parts of the TV. We didn't actually include the labor of the person that had to put it all together. So that $399 TV is actually $899. That doesn't happen anywhere else in your life.
Yep, correct. That's how it is. So
the originally when the multi-point came out, and I'm old enough to remember when it came out, it wasn't intended as a sales tool, right? It was just a give the customer a little more visibility into you see what we see, right? So back then, technicians were already going through the car, right? They were doing an oil change. It was routine to take the tires off when you were doing an oil change and check brakes. And now the customer got some visibility into that, because before, if there was nothing wrong, they got the car back. We did the oil change. Everything looked great. That's all they got, right? And the multi-point inspection gave us a way to let them kind of see under the hood, so to speak, of what our technician was looking at. So, hey, I'm looking at your brakes. They're green. And then maybe another 5,000 miles down the road, when they come back in for another oil change, they're green again. And then the next time they're yellow, right? And it started to give a customer a progression on things that could be going wrong, and give them a chance to prepare for repairs that were coming up. And it really feels like the multi-point inspection over the years has drifted away from that original purpose of the multi-point inspection, from we're going to show you some more understanding of your car, to now, oh, this is how we sell you more stuff.
Correct. And I think that's what we want to go back to, the old days, let's say, where you want to have that visibility with the customer, because you don't want to sell them something that they don't need. You just want to be transparent and just sell them about something that actually is broken and is not fixed. You just don't need to tell them, hey, you need this, you need that, because really at the end of the day, you're going to scare them, and they're going to say, oh, if going back to the dealership, it's just going to try to take money away from me. Let me try someplace else. And they go to a Walmart or any other place that they can do an oil change. And sometimes it's even more expensive than coming to the dealership to do the oil change.
Yes.
But they just lost the trust that you're supposed to give them when you're doing that multi-point inspection.
Yeah, exactly. And so in your stores, what is the expectation for the technicians doing that multi-point inspection? How does it walk me through your process of what they're doing?
So we have a tire scanner. So when they drive in, we scan the tires. So we need to make sure the scanner matches what the technician is going to say, because the customer is going to get a text message with the scan of the tires. So the technician needs to make sure he's taking the measurements and they're pretty much accurate. Sometimes you're going to have a little bit of discrepancy here, but shouldn't be that much. So once they get that, the technician gets the car, puts it on the rack, and the first thing they have to do is do the multi-point inspection. So the camera is rolling, and he needs to go through every tire, not just say, "Oh, your tires are good." Just got to touch every single one of them. Take the tire, show the brakes. Hey, some of them it's easier to see, some of them you have to take the tire. So showing the brakes, put it back, lower the car, get the air filter out, and put every technician in the back. We have like an express side that we have a brand new air filter, so they can compare the new air filter and the old air filter with them, and they can say, hey, this is a new one, this is yours, and they can see that it's coming out of the car. So that's when they start going, says we're gonna top off your fluids, and showing the fluids, and goes around it and show them, says, and of course it goes a little bit more deeper than that when they start with a flashlight looking at the suspension, making sure there's no leaks on the shocks, everything looks good and everything. But at least they're having that visibility and that transparency that under the car everything looks good, or if they have a leak or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's when it goes to the advisor, and the advisor can review the video before it gets sent to the customer, because you want your advisor to at least take a look at what you're sending to the customer, because if he goes to the customer, straight up to the customer, which he happened, and that's what my reason of changing is, the customer calls and says, "Oh, I just look at the video," and my advisor is like, "What video?" And they don't review it, and they don't even know what they're talking about. So right now, the advisors need to review the video, and they send it to the customers.
Okay.
So that way, when they call the customer and says, "Hey, you had a chance to review the video," they can go over the video and the estimate. But those two things need to go hand in hand.
Yeah. And then it's more timely too, right? Because now they can send the video and maybe give them 3-5 minutes, whatever it is, watch the video, and then give them a call.
Give them the call.
And it's them calling the customer, not a customer having to call into us again, right?
Yeah. You don't want that. You don't want the customer to call you. And like I said, that's what was happening when the video was going automatically, and we had the customers, "Oh, I got the video," and you're like, "Oh, what video?"
So do you have your service advisors calling over to the customer 100% of the time on every multi-point inspection, even if there's no recommendations, just to review it to make sure that the customer doesn't have any questions?
They don't call on every single one. If everything is green, they send them a text message saying, "Hey, your multi-point inspection is great. Your vehicle's going to be done in the next half hour. Everything looks good. If you have any questions, just reply and we'll talk." So we use a lot of customers. They like the text messaging more than the calling.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So a lot of my advisors are used to it, of the text message. I have some old school advisors that they like to make the phone call, but they ask the question to the customer which preferred method of communication they want. And a lot of them says text messages. Right now, probably 75% of the time they want a text message instead of a call.
Yeah.
If it's not higher, but I have the other people that they like the phone call.
Yeah, and that's another important point, right? Is making sure that we communicate with our customers the way they want to be communicated with.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, we're trying to be standardized across all the stores. But right now with the multi-point inspection, we're switching, and we're gonna give it a shot at 2 of the stores. And if it rolls out good, then we move to the other 2. So
yeah, that makes sense. You don't want to dump the whole apple cart over at once and to find out that it doesn't work the way you thought it would. So
yeah.
So what at the other stores that aren't making the change, are you making any interim process changes before you decide to flip over to the other provider, or are you just letting it run the way it is for now and see how it shakes out?
Well, the only change that we made on the other stores is, since what happened here, we took away anything that the video has any auto send or anything. So I have the manager taking a look at it at least once a week to make sure that setting hasn't changed.
Okay.
Because you don't know when the update comes in. Sometimes they don't tell you, and you just hear from a customer.
Right.
So now my managers go on Mondays and look if that's turned off. It's an extra step, but we need to do it, to check that it's turned off, and the advisors to review the video and them sending the video.
Okay.
So that's the adjustment that we made at the other store, so it doesn't happen what has been happening at the other two.
And do you have any requirements at your stores for, or not requirements, expectations at your stores on what's on a multi-point inspection?
Well, what we tell the technicians, don't sell something that the car doesn't need. And just go over it, point out what it needs, and we'll sell it. Of course, we're gonna recommend because of the fuel induction flush, anything by the mileage, because they have 60,000 miles and never done it, things like that as a recommendation. But we don't push. I tell my technicians not to push anything that the car doesn't need it. We show the customer what it needs, we sell what it needs.
Yeah, and sometimes those recommendations on those things are difficult, right? Because what might be needed up in my area in New England, as opposed to somebody in Texas or somebody in Oregon, can be vastly different.
Mm-hmm.
And yet their owner's manual says the same recommendations, right?
For instance, for us wiper blades, it doesn't rain here that much, but it's so hot that it gets dried out.
Yeah.
So you need to inspect for that. It's a different inspection and a different recommendation at that point. Yeah. Because when it rains is when you realize you need a wiper blade. They're all dried out. We don't have that, but that's kind of like the recommendations that we go.
Yeah, and that's one of those areas of the country kind of things that vary, right? Like you can have a manufacturer recommendation of what is needed for maintenance, which we all know is kept intentionally light so they can keep that cost of ownership number down. Sorry, as a former OEM guy, but we know that to be true.
So we do recommend. Of course, we have the menus, we have the manufacturer recommended, and we have our recommendations. We explain the benefits, what it is on ours, and the customers decide. Like I say, but we on the multi-point inspection, when the technician is doing the multi-point inspection, we don't let them push anything to the technicians unless it's needed and you can actually see it. Because I don't want why the technicians just trying to sell me something for the customers, and that's when you start getting that pushback from the customer when you try to present anything. We have a lot of construction here, and the roads are really bad. So the alignments here, from 9 out of 10, you have cars without an alignment. It's so bad that I can tell it's 9 out of 10. So we try to recommend them at least to do it once a year minimum, because of the roads and all the construction that is going around.
Yeah.
And a lot of customers understand it, and more when they see it, when you drive through the scanner and you see that scan that is telling you that your tires are wearing uneven, then you're seeing it, and that's when they believe it. Seeing is believing it. It's like if you show it right there, it is. A picture is worth 1,000 words. That's what they're saying is.
Absolutely. Which and that's what we started with, right? Was the video, and that's why it's important that video is done very intentionally, and that it shows everything that the technician is going to put on that multi-point inspection that the customer gets to review. They have to match. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked to or last week we talked to him also, Damon Egan from Sherwood Ford up in Canada, and what he's doing with his techs for the multi-point inspection. They actually hired a videographer who is in the shop full time that does the multi-point inspection for the technician. The technician, says everything that what is on what ends up on the video, but they're not the ones that have to film it. So they end up with a really quality looking video and they end up with a video that is done the same every single time, right? So a customer who comes in now and comes back a year from now, they don't get two wildly different multi-point inspection videos. They get the same looking video, so they can understand over time. They'll start to understand, like, when I get this video, they're going to show me X first, Y second. And I thought that was a pretty innovative way to start to go about it, as well as a way to save your technicians the time of having to do that video multi-point inspection.
I think that's pretty cool. We had that before I came in. They had an apprentice that it was doing the multiple inspections with the techs.
Mm-hmm.
But then the apprentice left, and then you had all the techs struggling a little bit on how to do the video. So we had to retrain everybody on how to do the video. So I was like, I think it's a great idea if you have a solid person that is going to do that video, because you want consistency on your videos. Of course, that's what you want. You want to show them all over again, and sometimes it's easier for the technician to concentrate on doing the proper inspection using both of their hands instead of using only one, because one of them is filming. Right. I think that's great. I think that process works if you have the right person in it. It will work. Like for us, it didn't, because we had a kid that was doing the videos with the guys, but then he ended up leaving and nobody else will cover him. So I guess hiring a company maybe that does the video, that you have a backup of that's probably the best solution to it. And I'm 100% with that one. That I think that's great for consistency on your videos.
Yeah, that's the big part for me, is that the customer gets that consistent video, and because it's a separate position in the dealership, I think let's not gloss over the fact that there was an apprentice in the shop, which is awesome too, right? And that is a good way for an apprentice to learn what to look at on vehicles, is to be there with the technician when they're doing these inspections. But the consistency that you get for a customer from somebody who that's what their job is, right? That apprentice, that got added to their job when they get in. I'm sure it was not MPI videographer when they applied for the job.
Absolutely. And I think that's great. I'm going to look into it. I'm going to find out if there's a videographer around here that I can come in and give me a try and see how it looks on the, for a week, start doing all the, and see how that looks, because you want the consistency for sure.
Yep, absolutely. And Damon uses that videographer to do other things too, right? They have a really nice customer introduction video, a sales to service introduction video for all the customers get that emailed to them. And they've done some other how to change your wiper blades, how to change the spare tire, like all that kind of stuff. Like now that they have that videographer in house, they can do all these other things too.
That's great. That's actually a great idea.
Yeah,
kind of like have your own tutorials for your own dealership, even post them on YouTube, and whoever searches, you pop out. So I think it's great. That's brilliant.
Yep,
absolutely. I want to steal that one.
There you go. Damon will be there to help you if you need him. You can reach. He's happy to talk about that stuff. So how long have you been with this group?
A year. 1 year.
Okay. And what have you seen change as far as the multi-point inspection process? What changed from when you got there? I know you just talked about the apprentice that was there, but other than that, what's changed for you with the multi-point inspection that a customer would see?
I think it was for me, when I came over here, it's a domestic. I have a domestic and 3 import stores. So they're not as big as the Europeans for video, right? They were more used to it as the multiple inspection and very little video. The penetration on the video, it wasn't much. As you know, I came from a BMW store, so for me, BMW, it's mandatory that you do it pretty much on every single car. So I was over 93, 95% on video penetration every time, because it's a must. You have to. So here, when I came in, it was a little bit of a shocker because I wasn't used to much of the video. They heard about it, The manufacturers talked about it, but nobody was pushing it too much.
Yeah.
So when I came in, is when we start pushing a little bit more on the videos. Everybody knew how to, but they weren't really in it. So now it's kind of like mandatory for everybody to do it. Our penetration is going up, and because of the use of this is when we start finding out all these little bugs and things that we have with the current system that we're using, and that's when we just decided to go to a better one that is going to give us a little bit more for visibility and everything else. So it was the change wise, it was just to show the customers more, because at the BMW store it worked great. Customers loved it, and I think when the advisors here start seeing that the customers like the videos when they're coming in, they've been transparent. It's a lot easier to present anything when the customers are used to it and they've seen it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is one of those things that when a customer gets used to getting it, they notice when it's absent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's one of those things that we're pushing every day. We want to do better. Of course, we always want to have in the consistency. It's tough sometimes to get consistent among all the technicians that you have around to all of them to do the same thing, but we're trying. We try. I think that videographer sounds pretty good. But I want to make sure my techs are doing that, because right now it will defeat the purpose of the multi-point inspection tool that I'm changing if I get somebody else doing the videos, unless they connect somehow to that one.
Yeah, that's a big win for you with the techs, right? If you can pull that off and bring that in and take
all of them, the ones that they don't like to talk in camera, they'll be really happy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big win for you. All right, we are coming up to time here. Couple of quick things. Down in the bottom, the Fixed Ops 50, the first awards for the people who are in the stores getting the job done. So 10 categories. One's a dealer category. The other 9 are all people inside the dealership. You can email news@fixedopsmastermind.com, and I will get you a link to go and nominate people for that award. We have a contingency of people who are going to judge those people, and there'll be 1 winner in each category and 4 runner-ups, getting you your 50 people there. And the Automotive AI Summit, which is coming September 24th. Registration is open, so get in there and get your tickets to attend that. It's a one-day event. Super cool place, the MIT Museum. Even if you're not coming there for the summit, find a reason to go there and visit the place. Just some cool tech that is inside there. Christian, thank you so much for
thank you, Dave. Thanks for the invite.
Fixed Ops Mastermind. It was awesome to have you. Kyle and Steven, thanks for joining us. The number to watch, everybody, go ahead and pull out a sample of your MPIs and check what was recommended on those versus what was on the video from your technician, and see how many of those recommended items that are on the paper MPI have shown up on the video or vice versa. I guarantee there's probably not a lot of people that are pulling that number. It's intensive to pull it, but the mismatch is a trust gap that your customers will notice. Next week, same time, Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern time, part 4 from delivery to defection. Next week is customer friction and what we have to do to overcome that. Everybody, we'll see you next week. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Dave.